Welcome to the Ultimate Bloons TD6 strategy series, where I'm going to be showing you strategies for every single tower from the Dart Monkey to the Beast Handler and every single path in between. This will show you how to diversify your setup and get better, along with seeing some stats, tips and tricks, and all of the strategies for every single one of the towers. And although that the series is geared more towards Chimps mode, this will also show you a lot of tips and tricks that apply to the standard game and will allow you to win with a new style. Moving on to the middle path druid, we have the Spirit of the Forest, the Jungle's Bounty, and the Druid of the Jungle, and these are all some really cool guys, so let's take a look at them. Starting off with the Druid of the Jungle, this guy's a chimp starter and a fairly common one. That is too very good and effective. The Jungle's Bounty kind of does the same thing but a bit better, but it's only really useful for a Spirit of the Forest save up, and the Spirit of the Forest does late game cleanup damage and is a really strong tower that's definitely fun to use. So the Jungle of the Druid is great in the early game. It's particularly good on single lane maps, but it actually can do a decent amount on multi-lane maps too. The Jungle's Bounty picks it up. It got a recent change where it has less vines, which people seem to say like it's really bad now. I don't really think so, but I only really use it when saving up to the Spirit of the Forest because it's highly outclassed by a lot of other towers that would fill its use specifically too. The Spirit of the Forest is just really strong, really great, and it's usable on a lot of maps, which is nice. So for the crosspath, always get 1 XO, so just the hard thorns on the top. That will allow you to pop leads, which really is kind of the big thing that you want. The main attack doesn't really do much. It's just like the vines and brambles, so just having the ability to make those pop leads, which is good. When it comes to buffs, the tier 3 you don't really want to buff, but the tier 4 I recommend getting an alchemist on it most of the time. The alchemist really makes it better, and just that same berserker brew will help out the tier 5. It will actually increase the damage of the brambles from last I remember checking. I did not test it though, so if that's not the case, just let me know. Anyways, on maps that it's good on, it's really good on like any map because the vines will go out. The thing to note is that the vines in the range and closest to it are much stronger, which is really where all the power is. This is good because it can work really well on shorter maps too, but also just keep in mind that if the track isn't near like the tower itself, then it's going to be way less effective. When it comes to heroes that you can of course use Oben. Oben's going to be really good, but another thing is that you really can use it as with any other damage hero or whatever strategy you need to use. It works. So it's not reliant on Oben like other heroes. Its pros that it's a great chimp starter, works well on all maps, amazing late game cleanup, and its con is that its tier 4 falls off hard after around 80. It doesn't really do much there. The objectives that we're going to be looking at is the Jungle of the Druid starter, or the Druid of the Jungle starter. This is the Spirit of the Forest strategy as part of cleanup, and I'm going to look at 2 different ways that you can do it. So the first way that we can do that is with Oben. We can have a whole Oben Druid crew. You've seen this a lot, especially with all the Druid episodes, and you have another Druid episode coming more. It's just that typical same Druid crew. But this time, the way that we're going to be doing it a little differently is in the early game. Instead of getting a Druid of the Storm, we're just going to replace that with a Druid of the Jungle, so its vine is going to be going out. You can use this vine in the early game. One thing that I accidentally click hard thorns first. You typically don't want to do this. You just want to rush 0-3-0, but the thing is that you're going to need some extra starting towers, so like maybe a 1-0 sniper. Your hero is going to help out too, all that kind of stuff. It's more expensive than you might think. Just try to get it like somewhere in maybe the mid 20s, at least before around 27, and then you're going to be doing fine. So don't try to like absolutely rush straight into it because you're probably going to be dying in the early game, but get it somewhere early around there. Once you have that, it's going to be doing really well on this multi-lane map where stuff is coming out both ways. It's going to do just fine, and I'm going to have Oben cleaning up there too. In case the brambles kind of miss, I just have a dart monkey at the bottom there that will be able to clean up the camos just as some insurance, so that's going to be fine. Then I'm going to alch buff Oben and look at those druids up. Because we don't have the tornado, we can't just blow back all of the ceramics inside the Moab away, so just a few druids will usually help well enough with Oben's brambles and the Druid of the Jungle to really get all of that. I cleaned it up just fine here with the greeted discount, and now you can't really see it well, but in that top corner I'm just going to get a bunch of pop lust, get that stim up, and we're going to then save up for Spirit of the Forest. You don't really need a whole lot to save up for Spirit of the Forest, just like maybe 4 or 5 Pop Lusts will do it just fine. With the Alk buff, it's a lot cheaper tower, so you can use it. And the tier 4 with an Alk buff is going to be very strong at cleaning up Bloons, so that's going to be nice. I just get a few of that, and we're going to be good. It would have been nice to have a map where I had a little bit more space to place, because these druid strategies always end up taking a good chunk of space, and also maybe a little further down the track, so we could take advantage of these towers' range a bit more. Would have been nice, but that's alright. We'll still be able to get this, because it isn't like the hardest map in the world, and the strategy is quite strong, so we'll be able to get through it all just fine. Anyways, we can start saving up for a Spirit of the Forest. Round 63 is going to be totally covered with the Jungle's Bounty. I think I was calling that the Druid of the Jungle before. I'm getting my words mixed up a little bit. But the Jungle's Bounty, which is the tier 4, will be able to clean everything up. It's going to be nice and easy. It's still pretty darn effective, as opposed to what people say. I find it being able to clean up rounds like 63 with no issue. The Populists are going to do what Populists do, and Alk buff will Alk buff everything up. And then once we get this, we can then use it as cleanup. It's going to solo the rest of the 70s. Normally you get it kind of like in the middle of the 70s. You aren't going to be getting this guy before round 63, but sometime in between there and before round 75, hopefully, because round 75 is where things kind of start to ramp up a bit. So if we get it before at least around round 75, we'll be doing quite nice. You can also use Oben's brambles and abilities. Here I'm just going to be getting it kind of right after then, but that's all right. And now that we have that, we just chill out for the rest of the 70s, and the 80s come in, and we should be doing pretty well. So the middle, where like the most blue brambles are, is where that most damage is going to be done, and it's quite a lot there. Really kind of most of it is going to be done there. So it doesn't really matter if the map is super short, because if you have a good amount of blue brambles and maybe some of the kind of darker green ones, you're going to be doing totally fine, and you're going to be able to take everything out. So as you can see, these BFBs, they're just getting nowhere, but we're going to want something that does more single target damage, because these don't do the greatest damage against COMGs. So one thing that you could do is just get towers that do single target damage, or a cool approach that you can do is get a tower like an Icicle Impale or a Super Glue, and that will kind of hold a bunch of Bloons over the brambles, and because they kind of will have infinite pierce, it doesn't really matter about getting pierce capped, then they'll just take damage on the brambles and keep going down. So I save up a bunch of money. You can see that you can really get anything from here, but when the 90s hit, we're going to throw an Icicle Impale in there. I'm just going to throw an Alk buff in that to make that a little more consistent. Now it's going to hold things over the brambles, and they'll deal damage. So you either can like do something like that, or just get a tower that does a lot of single target damage, and you're going to be good. I'm going to get more support. I wish I would have had a little more space up here, because I could have gotten a lot more support, and that would have made it things a lot easier. I eventually just get like spiked mines at the bottom, I think, just to clean up, because I didn't really have much money that I could spend up at the top, even though I wish I could have gotten some more support there. And then I'm going to need a first strike for round 100. Round 100 is going to be pretty tense, so actually we'll end up double first striking using the reactor. Round 98 here, we're going to grab that spike mines at the bottom, clean up. I didn't actually need it, which was kind of nice, but just in case. And then double reactor, or not double reactor, just a reactor to double first strike that bad, and it goes down. So you just need to keep in mind round 100, add some support up there, some single target damage, or like a Super Glue or Icicle Impale, and you're going to be doing pretty good. It's a really nice tower. You can do a lot of it with it, and you don't need to use Oben. As I mentioned, you could use like any other hero. So I'm just going to be taking Geraldo, using a few Geraldo items to kind of rush and greet out this very early Druid of the Jungle. It might have been a little bit easier just to get like a 1-0 sniper. I wouldn't have had to use as many Geraldo items, but I still got it at a pretty good time. We'll then grab the top cross path on that, and now this guy will absolutely destroy these early game rounds, and I'll be able to work on my Geraldo setup with a bunch of Robo Monkeys, which will be really nice. You can also use Geraldo Pickle on this guy. It's going to be doing very well. I put the camo pot on there, so we don't have to deal with any of that, and that's going to be really nice. I'm just going to get a few Robo Monkeys, but the whole idea here is that from a different approach, you don't have to use Oben. You could just use whatever damage tower you want, whatever strategy, and then use the Spirit of the Forest as a cleanup, because it isn't really bound to Oben, which is really nice as compared to the Avatar Wrath. Without Oben, he's going to lose a lot of power. The Tornadoes without Oben, they're going to lose a lot of power. The Spirit of the Forest, on the other hand, is just fine without open, so that's really nice. I somehow mess up really bad. I really thought I could get another village in there on the other side. Turns out I can't, so this village, this double discount, is very awkwardly placed, and I can't get a camo village in there, so I just have to get to submergent supports. Other than that, weird shenanigans going on there. The rest of this run was pretty chill, and everything was done right. There was a little tense camo moment right there because of that, but that's alright. We're going to get some robo monkeys up as part of this Geraldo strategy, and we're then in the middle of it, we're going to get Spirit of the Forest. That's going to get the cleanup. Then I'm just going to build the rest of my Geraldo robos, grab Gloostrom more in there. They're going to be doing great single target damage. The Spirit of the Forest is going to do more cleanup based damage, and it's all going to be very good, very cool, and you really can do a lot with this. There's a lot of towers that would really appreciate the synergy of having some good cleanup damage, kind of like BFB to down, BFB, Moab, Ceramics. It's going to really help out them a lot, like towers that might be better at dealing damage to kind of fortified BFB type and up. Maybe something like a Moab Domination would work out really well. A Permacharge could do really great in this situation. Also kind of DDTs too. The Spirit of the Forest is not the greatest at dealing with DDTs, so that's something to keep in mind. That's why, like in the other example, I really recommend pairing it with a Super Glue or Icicle Impale, because those will help out with DDTs and slow down the ZOMGs a bunch too, which is really nice. And on top of that, you can just get some extra support, whatever else you might need. Like if that other tower that you get also doesn't happen to be the greatest with DDTs, you probably should invest in maybe a Sabo or two. A double Sabo could help out the situation really a lot. Maybe even like a Snowstorm. Snowstormers are quite good with dealing with DDTs too, which is really nice. The Sabo would probably be very good. Relentless Glue too. You probably always want to have a Moab Glue in there anyways, but it's just generally a really great tower. You can do a lot with it, and I'm going to wrap this up by just getting all three of these Robo Monkeys. We'll grab a Gloostorm in there. It's going to do great single target damage. Kind of deciding what else I really want, because there's a lot I can go with from here. I also have all of Geraldo's shop that I can use, so I could take advantage of that. I'm just going to start applying some of these items there. I could have bought like Bunny if I wanted to, but I didn't. Got Gloostorm, so that's going to be nice to just use that. The Robos will take out the ZOMGs. They're going to be good with the DDTs. When I use Geraldo's Camo Pots, which will give extra damage to DDTs, which is really nice. And in the background, it may not really look like it, but the Spirit of the Forest is doing a lot of work. It deals damage to every single one of those balloons on the screen, and when they get closer to the blue vines, they're going to be doing even more. So it's just going to be, in general, really effective, really nice. And I am going to need something here for round 100 again, so just keep that in mind. With Geraldo, though, we're going to be doing totally fine because I can rejuve that first strike. 98 is going to go down with Genie and Gloostorm. Same with 99, and then 100 we'll just use that rejuve first strike, and it's going to go down. So that's the Spirit of the Forest. It's a really cool tower. You really can do a lot with it, and it's one that I definitely recommend using a lot as cleanup.
Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!